Hi, everybody. My name is Randall Melendez, and this week's story, I'm going to talk to you about my experience dealing with citizens' participation in government. Around spring of last year was my first. I first came to FIU, so I wanted to get involved in some way. Um, basically get my feet wet and do something to be active on campus, considering I lived on campus. It was on Earth Day, me and my colleague, we went outside in the housing complex in FIU, and we noticed a table that the sign said free trip to Washington, D.C. At first, I was a bit skeptical, but I went and I approached the table and I spoke to a girl who was behind the table. And she was telling me about her organization called the Energy Action Coalition. And the event that was going to be held in Washington, D.C. was called Power Shift 2011. Now, she gave me the rundown of what her organization was about, and which dealt with clean energy and trying to help save the environment in so to speak. Now, after she was done speaking about her organization that she was a part of and the trip to Washington D.C., I was a bit skeptical about participating in this ordeal, considering I am back in my mind, I thought, it was some kind of gimmick. What exactly do I have to do? I mean, nothing in this world is considered free. So I saw her again in GC amongst other people that were part of that organization, and she remembered me, and I was talking to her about that I wanted to get involved in some way on campus. So she then told me things that I can do, and how what this organization in details once more. Now, fast forwarding, I participated in this organization, and one of the events before going on to the trip was to attend like a hearing for a scholarship for basically funding to go on the trip. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't make it on time, but from what I know, that I mean, obviously they got the funding to the trip with taking buses to Washington D.C. Now, fast forward once more. It was about 30 or so of us FIU students from undergrad mostly that attended this trip and took a bus ride to DC. Once we were in DC, we had to, we set up camp. We went into a hotel, and then soon after, the next day actually, we started to head our ways to the convention that dealt with the Energy Action Coalition or Power Shift convention, which there we saw many individuals who were like-minded in trying to save the environment, and hear speeches about ways that young people can participate in clean energy. And on top of that, hear government officials talk about ways that they can participate in clean energy within around the United States. I found this very fascinating. And then afterwards, we all went to our respected representatives, mine being the Bronx in New York City, where like I said, everyone went to their basic district, so to speak. And I went to mine in Washington, D.C. Basically, this is part of lobbying, and I spoke to not my representative, Jose Serrano, but his assistant. And we spoke at length about you know, the topic at hand, clean energy, and ways that Jose Serrano, my representative, was combating like clean energy resources and ways to start such clean energy. Considering I live in New York City, there's a lot of areas that are very dirty, and there's a lot of emissions of CO2 gases. But one of my topics that I was very interested in talking about was Orchard Beach. As a child and growing up, I went to Orchard Beach, um, and people from the Bronx and yeah, people from the Bronx know that Orchard Beach is notorious for being dirty and filthy and filled with things in the water. Now, I spoke to my representative's assistant, and she assured me that things were going to be changing within the summer of that year, meaning that Jose Serrano and other people they had a project going where they were getting sand from, I would say, the Bahamas and other areas, and bringing it the to the beach, and also doing various cleanup projects. And lo and behold, that in the summer when I came back to to New York City, the beach was actually very different, and it was actually very good. I liked it. So it's, in essence, it told me like participation in government. Just by speaking or voicing your opinion, you can, your opinion is heard, and apparent, and like other opinions, they will be heard. So I saw this in effect when it came to the Orchard Beach project, and just basically just by talking and having my voice heard. So this is my story about citizens in participation in government. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.